Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now, what I've got for you today is supposed to be one of the very best games of Protoss versus Protoss. Now, I haven't seen this game yet either, so don't take my word for it. Take Reynor's word for it, okay? So he sent me a message a couple of days ago saying, "You want the sickest PvP in the history of PvPs? It's absolutely wild." So, I mean, those are not my words. Those are his words. So I guess we're going to find out together exactly what ended up going down in this Protoss versus Protoss. And as you may have already guessed, spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes, we have Reynor and his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Protoss pieces. He goes by the name of Skillous. Now, if you haven't followed the most recent season of Reynor, you may not be aware of the fact that he's been playing his off races quite a bit. So, I don't really know exactly where his Protoss is currently ranked, but apparently it's really good if he's facing off against someone of the caliber of Skillous on the ladder. So, he's playing under a barcode nickname. I'm not entirely sure if Skillous realizes who he's facing off against in this particular match. I believe that this is just a regular good old ladder game, because, well, while Reynor does play some tournaments playing Protoss and Terran as well, I think, considering it's red versus blue and he's playing under a barcode, I'm fairly sure that this is just going to be a good old ladder game. Skillous, as we've been making this video, according to Aligalek, is the rank 8 non-Korean in the world. So, according to that website, the list goes Serral in first place, then Reynor with his Zerg. So I'm not entirely sure, you know, where his Protoss would rank. Then Clem, Hero Marine, MaxPax, Showtime, Elaser, Skillous, Neep, Lambo. So Skillous, one of the very best Protoss players in the world, really. But definitely from the European server, he's amongst the very best. And the fact that, yeah, Mr. Reynor apparently can face off against him already definitely shows that his Protoss has been climbing up quite rapidly. He's decided to go for a pylon right here in the middle of the map. Fair enough. That's the second pylon, so if he wants to go for a proxy, he's going to be able to do so as soon as the cybernetics core finishes. Doesn't necessarily have to, though, but since he's keeping the probe around... okay, maybe not. He doesn't necessarily have to go for a proxy over there. It's quite common in Protoss versus Protoss to just put your second pylon anywhere. The thing is, Skillous at this point obviously was scouting around the main base of the Protoss in blue, and at that point he realizes, hey, a pylon is missing. That second pylon is supposed to come up. There's no way my opponent intentionally is hitting a supply block right now. Looks like he's actually sending the... okay, he's sending the probe in the right direction, so he will find out exactly where that second pylon went, and you'll also see that there's no proxy Stargate over here. Instead, there's going to be a Stargate right over here at home. Now, Reynor mentioned that apparently he's trying to get up to 7k MMR with Protoss. I quickly looked it up, and I believe that those stats are correct, but I may have missed one or two players. But as far as I can tell, there have only ever been 4 players that historically have reached 7k MMR. So if Reynor's goal is to be part of that, I mean, that would be kind of cool, right? That'd be kind of fun. I've actually seen a lot of confusion recently as well, but a lot of people saying, oh my god, the only reason why the top level players are winning is because of their race. And I've seen the exact same thing being said as well about Mr. Reynor, where a lot of people are like, well, the only reason he wins is because he's a Zerg player, right? Just together with Serral. That's the only reason why those guys are good. And this is like the biggest middle finger you could ever give someone, I suppose, by literally proving them wrong. I'd like to think that that is the main reason why these guys are practicing, or why Reynor, rather, this guy is practicing his off races, but not entirely sure if that is the reason as to why. Oracle's coming up right here. It's going to be a defensive Phoenix here at home. Skillous at this point has figured out with that hallucination exactly what the Protoss here in blue is going for. Now, by the way, I'm actually very excited to be casting this game today. Believe it or not, this is the very first game of StarCraft 2 that I'm casting in like 2 weeks. So, me and Lauren, we took a week off. This is like the very first time we went on a holiday in like, I don't know, since like 2020. Okay. We went skiing in early 2020, right before, well, you know, the world situation changed a little bit. Took a week off. We went to Greece, which was a lot of fun. I didn't really tan though. I mostly just burned, but yeah, if you just watch the YouTube channels, you may not have noticed that I was gone, because I did prepare YouTube videos in advance. I mean, that is I guess the regular way in which YouTubers usually take time off is by working in advance, right? Anyways, I prepared a whole lot of videos in advance, and I casted a lot of games. Really happy with how those videos turned out, actually. They seem to do really well viewer-wise, too, so thank you for watching those, by the way. And making this whole thing possible, right? Like, in general, I appreciate you very much. Thanks for watching my stuff. I absolutely love what I do. But, yeah, feels good to be back home again as well. Alright, a lot of probes being killed here. He's just gonna sacrifice those oracles. 2 oracles for 8 probes. And also forcing the council over here, it looks like. Yeah, not a kill, but forcing the council. Definitely not a bad situation right here for Reynor to be in. Who's now in the meantime at home, gonna go for that 3rd Nexus here already. So I did cast a couple of Protoss games featuring Reynor before as well. And one of the things I noticed is that the style he really likes to play right now, specifically in Protoss versus Zerg, is that mass gateway unit. So that style that Hero, for example, has been playing quite a bit as well over the last couple of months, where basically you just max out at like 3 or 4 gas geysers, and you go for like a dozen gateways, and you just warp in Stalkers and Zealots. It sounds extremely basic, and it really isn't super complex as far as strategic decision-making goes, but it's been very, very successful for players in Protoss versus Zerg at the very least. It seems that a lot of Zerg players don't really know what to do with the mass amount of stuff. They're like, look at me, I'm the Zerg player now, you know? And I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that Reynor decides to do in this particular matchup too, just because in a way, like, Zealots are kind of like Zergling run-bys, and Stalkers are kind of like, I don't know, better roaches? So, I mean, Roachling can take you a very, very long way on the ladder, right? So, if you can kind of view your Stalkers and Zealots like better rounded roaches and Zerglings, it's probably not a terrible situation to be in. So we'll see. If he decides to go for a very quick 4th base as well, I think that is the plan. All right. Thought for a second that probe was already going to head on over to these new mineral fields right over here on the right too. Either way, for now, it's going to be a Fortress of follow-up. This is scouted here from Skillous as well, or by Skillous. And he knows exactly what it is that the Italian player is going for. All right, let's see. He's got to go for Blink here, as well as the +1 ground weapons right there for all of his Protoss units. There's a Dark Shrine coming up here for Skillous as well. So that's going to give him some nice harassment potential, as well as some, well, I guess defensive potential too, if there's not a whole lot of detection available here for Reynor. Got to be careful, though. That Immortal here is going to have a grand old time harassing those units. A little bit of aggression here on the right too. Those Stalkers try to move in. But luckily right there for Reynor, he did manage to get his recall in time, so those units will be saved. Yes, as fun as it was to go on holiday, I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to be casting games again as well. Got a whole lot of great replays actually that I want to go ahead and cast. Okay, that was a little bit sloppy right there from Reynor. But if you aren't subscribed already, make sure to do so you get notified as soon as those videos go up. Got quite a few games from recent replay packs that I want to go ahead and cover over the next couple of weeks. Okay, there's that 4th Nexus. Same can be said on the other side of the map. We're actually coming up very close right now to 500,000 subscribers. My channel has never really, like, blown up at any point. I've been making videos since 2008. It's been a little while. If you go back to the very first videos on this channel, you won't find the videos from 2008 because they had copyrighted music and all that. And I had to remove those. Those were RuneScape videos. Anyhow, it's always been steadily climbing over the years. And while I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of StarCraft fans out there that aren't already subscribed to the channel, at the very least as long as they enjoy my content, right? I'm pretty sure most StarCraft people have come across my videos at some point. So I don't think it's really going to grow from here. I don't really expect, you know, until like the next RTS comes around that my, you know, channel will really like continue growing rapidly. But it does seem like we're coming up on 500,000 subs in a couple of months from now. I think we're gaining like 3,000 subs or so a month at this point. So it takes something like that. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the numbers all too much because I've done that in the past and I notice I get kind of hyper-focused on the numbers alone, which is a pretty bad situation to be in as a content creator, I believe. Especially if you plan on doing it for a long time. It's very easy to get caught up in only the numbers and trying to do the most optimal thing possible. But if you're just focusing on the algorithm, it really takes the joy out of making videos, I've found. So I try not to pay attention to it, but I do believe we're coming up on that sometime later this year, which is pretty sick. So if you aren't subbed already, you can do so. You can also unsub, that's fine. You won't hurt my feelings too much. I'll just cry myself to sleep. No. It's gonna be a Stargate transition right here. So both of these guys are mostly just tiptoeing around each other. 5th Nexus coming up here for Reynor. He is, by the way, only going 3 gases. So he's only got 3 gases. He's going for his own Dark Shrine, but No gas is taken on those outer bases either. I believe we have a bit of a stylistic choice. So I'm actually kind of interested to see how this will play out. So Reynor is going mass army, mass gateway unit. Whereas on the other side of the map, Skillous is going for the Stargate transition. So he's got a fleet beacon over here coming up. He's dealing some damage over here as well. I mean, there is detection, but yeah, exactly. Those Dark Templar don't really care, even with a battery overcharge. There's no detection available here at home at the moment, so all of that Protoss army here in blue is also going to be moving back. This is buying a lot of time, and I love this. Yep, Observer at this point is out. Recall already realized. So I think only one of the DTs, no, 2 of the DTs ended up going down there. Because it's like, okay, you know what? Those couple of Dark Templar worked out quite well. You know what's better than 4 Dark Templar? 11. So he decides to add on a couple more, and he's just buying time. He's already got the fleet beacon as well as triple Stargate here. He's going for the +1 flyer attacks. Mothership is coming up, okay. You know what? The Mothership actually is pretty good here because there's not going to be a lot of units available for Reynor to actually snipe that out of the sky. As long as everything is cloaked, it's going to be quite hard to actually get some damage done. It does take a while, obviously, until that unit is out. The Mothership does take about 7.5 years, give or take. At least that's what it feels like. Oh, I was going to say, where'd the rest of the Dark Templar go? One of the Dark Templar was left behind. It was working on a pylon, but also gave away the position of the rest of those units. But yeah, there's the carrier transition. Ooh, it's the classic carrier skin, I think. Look at that. They're a little differently shaped. They're a little bit more, okay, no. It'd be bad if my first video back, or my first cast back home is instantly gonna get demonetized, so I won't finish that sentence, but you can probably guess. Dark Templar over here get caught though, yeah. That was actually a beautiful move right there by Reynor, grabbing the majority of those units very, very nicely. I don't know if that was intentional, or if they just, you know, happened to get surrounded in that direction. There's not that big of an army here available for Skillous because it was all hiding up north. A ton of static defense set up at that 5th nexus here for the Protoss player in red. Battery overcharge, though, is available, so Reynor is going to be forced to move back for the time being. But I do think it's important for him to start getting as aggressive as possible, because very soon, Skillous is going to have the ultimate death bowl, right? It's only going to be a couple minutes now. Look at that skin. We don't really see it all too often. It's only going to be a couple minutes, though, until he's maxed out on carriers. Okay, maybe a little bit longer than a couple minutes. But he's got to get there eventually. And if Reynor is still stuck on just... Yeah, he did add on some gases right now. If he's still going to be stuck... Maybe that's just because his other gases are running out. I think that's actually the main reason. If he's still stuck, though, on just Stalkers and Zealots, I don't really see how that's going to work out against Mass Carrier. Anyhow, 99 probes. Can you make one more? I know you're maxed out, Reynor, but I would really appreciate it if you go up to triple digits. Then I also have a good title for this video. My god. Yeah, the static defense here is actually beautiful. I really like what Skillous is doing here. Setting that up brilliantly. Static defense over here at the back of the 4th base too. This is like the Zealot Lisk, right? The Zealot Ling run by. While the Stalkers are actually trying to get work done at the front. Now the carriers are revealed though. Oh my god, he actually just decides to target fire down the Mothership itself. That is minus 400. A little bit late right there on the micro by Skillous, but he does manage to keep... never mind. Most of those units alive at the very least. Yeah, I should have pulled that back a little bit further. The interceptors were out anyway, so no reason to be that defensive about it. Now that the surprise is spoiled, though, Skillous decides to move out. Now, his supply count is a bit deceiving, because those units that are currently on the production tab, they're already paid for, they're already part of that supply count, and they're very, very supply heavy. Reynor at this point, not in that great of a spot as far as like his army goes. He's got 4,000 minerals in the bank though. 18 gateways. My god, he's got 18 gateways? So like every warp in he does is like 50 supply. Okay, not quite, but close enough anyways. He can very easily remax. Like this is the most Zergy way to play Protoss ever. I kind of love it. In a way, this is still relatively unexplored territory for Protoss. Like, historically, Stalkers and Zealots have never really been used as, like, you know, a unit that you max out with. It's more like a stepping stone to go towards those actual heavy hitters. But recently, Protoss players have found out that there are ways to make that happen. And honestly, at this point, Reynor is going in for the counterattack here on this army. This was supposed to be the attacking force. Carriers are being target fired down one at a time. And that carrier, yep, it's gonna get picked off as well. There's the new warp in. Zealots coming in from the main base. Since he's got nearly 100 workers, his income is actually super high too. 4,000 minerals a minute? Alright. Yeah, so he can make about 40 zealots a minute. And that doesn't even account the gas income at this point either. Alright. I like how most of the games where I've seen Reynor play, it's almost like the opponents are continuously scratching their heads. They're like, wait, huh? Protoss is not that's not supposed to happen like that. At least seems to be the approach that they have. Just mass Stalker Zealot. It's kind of awesome. Anyways, Recall right there did not recall the majority of the units, and Skillous right now still has a pretty strong army over here. He's got to be careful, though. Interceptors are deployed. Stalkers over there actually kept the majority of those probes alive as well, and here's the other rest of the army here from Reynor. Wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try and hunt down that final carrier, too, and there it pops up. Alright. So he's reinforcing like a madman. Now he's nearly doubling his opponent's army supply. Actually, no. He's more than doubling his opponent's army supply. Well, when I started that sentence anyways. Mothership is out. There is some detection over here, but keep in mind that there's also plenty of detection to detect the detector, right? So, as long as the observer dies, it's going to be quite hard for the Protoss player in blue to actually engage. Ultimately, you know, you would imagine that Skillous is right here, right? That, like, ultimately, his army will be stronger. I actually really love what he's doing with the Mothership here. Zoning away, trying to make sure that as many of those big structures of his are cloaked, making it hard for the opponent to go in. At the same time, though, we do have a fight over here as well. Detection is gone. Dark Templar in blue cannot actually see the Dark Templar in red, despite the fact that they are, well, quite literally the same unit. Battery overcharge right there is never going to save that. Is that the difference between his current MMR and 7k MMR? Realizing that a shield battery overcharge wasn't going to save that Nexus? Because I would have been able to tell him that. Anyhow. Not all heroes wear capes, but these guys do. Forcing back the entire army. And buying a lot of time. I think Skillous needs to, like, chill a little bit. Just try and make a maxed out army based around carriers. Which, in theory, at the very least, should be really good for him, right? Is it a good idea as well to add on disruptors? Probably. Should he start producing some immortals? Maybe, if he can afford it. I mean, he's got some money for it, so... I think he's trying to, though, just buy as much time here to just get that ultimate army out. But if that's the case, you might want to add on some additional Stargates, right? Anyhow. +3 flyer attacks just about to finish up, so those carrier interceptors are gonna hit like an absolute truck. Reynor already, once again, by the way, prioritizing the shield upgrades. He's once more going in for a move. Is there a big enough army right here in red to actually hold on? I mean, I think there might just be, but at the same time, there's a huge army over here on the right side, too. Dark Templar, okay, are cleaning up the other Dark Templar. Looks like the battery overcharge is going to be able to save the day for now, and Reynor gets once more deflected. Okay, this is apparently the moment at which another Nexus comes up. Skill is running all of the classic skins, by the way. Classic probes, classic Nexus, classic carriers. Classic Zealots? Do we have a Zealot? We have one Zealot. Yeah, classic Zealot as well. I think that's all of them. Looks pretty sick. New Nexus coming up in the bottom right-hand corner. It's already finished. Reynor also making the base in the center. So, it seems that the general approach that Reynor's taking in all matchups is roughly 100 workers, roughly 20 gateways, and just mass Stalker Zealot. One theme I've also noticed is that he's continuously prioritizing shield upgrades together with attack upgrades. And I guess the idea behind that is since the shields regenerate for harassment, that should actually be a superior thing, assuming you actually keep the units alive. Skillous is moving out though, and he's got, yeah, a very strong army. 6 Archons here in the mix too, by the way. They're going to be fantastic against the Zealots, and if they can get on top of the Stalkers, they're going to do quite well as well. Still, though, this is not quite a maxed out army yet here for Skillous, because once more, there's units here. Oh my god, he's actually not paying attention. Loses 2 of those carriers. There's the... what are they called? The time warps right there from the Mothership. Reynor just blinks into it! That reduces your attack speed and your movement speed by 50%, but Reynor doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he doesn't care. That's what I'm saying. My god. Well, you guys can't see it, but I'm sitting here with a big smile. It's kind of funny how... once again, Skillous is like, that's not really supposed to be like that, right? Like, I put down the bubble. You're supposed to be scared of the bubble. Don't do that, by the way, in your own games. You can do it once, and you'll realize that that is pretty much always a terrible idea. It happens every once in a while where the pro players are like, okay, I'm gonna try and fight through the time warp, but minus 50% attack speed is absolutely humongous. Alright, here we go again. Goes Dark Templar, dealing a ton of damage. This time around, Zealot is... or sorry, Reynor right here is balled up in the top left-hand corner. Carriers are once more available. Reynor at this point is broke, by the way. Doesn't have a lot of money anymore, and Skillous is holding on. If you can keep this base alive, that would be awesome, but Dark Templar are at work, so I doubt it. Yeah, damage per second of those units is insane. Oh, here we go once again, an offensive blink forward. There's the battery overcharge, and Stalkers this time around won't get so lucky. Reynor did kill the base, but at the cost of quite a large army as well. Alright. Slowly but surely, this is going better right here for Skillous. If you can max out on those carriers with the Mothership and just go for his ultimate death ball, I can imagine that that is going to be quite a bit better for him in a straight-up engagement. Then again, Reynor might not actually give him the straight-up engagement and just go for counterattacks instead. Speaking of counterattacks, though, Skillous is doing an amazing job with those as well. Gets rid of another Nexus. And decides to blink over the little, what is it called? Like a crevice? I don't know. The lava. Alright. Can we have a quick little look, actually, after this engagement, I suppose, at the resources lost? Yeah, look at that. It is so Zerg. Like, this is very... this, like, if you would have only shown me the minerals lost and, you know, for the opponent, I would have guessed a Zerg versus Protoss. This is usually how Zerg versus Protoss goes. It's pretty funny. Carriers, by the way, take a while before they deploy all of the interceptors. They're significantly stronger once they do. Looks like there was another cancelled Nexus right there in the top left-hand corner, too. But you gotta pay attention to whether or not the interceptors were already all deployed. Because while they do come out pretty quickly, there's no Graviton Catapult anymore in 2022. Not gonna be able to deploy them all at once. Alright, we're a little late, honestly, on those upgrades. Would have loved to see the +2 armor a little bit quicker. Skillous, though, has been prioritizing units. Okay, Dark Templar here defensively at this point. Skillous sees the little shimmer, so decides to back off with the majority of that army. Reynor once again going in for the counterattack. Good zoning right here, though, by the Protoss player in red. That's a lot of Archons. Like, there's a sweet spot of Archons, and I think this is too many. Like, he's got 11 right now, and he's got 2 more coming up. The problem with so many Archons is that, like, half of them... it's kind of like going 20 Ultralisks, you know what I mean? Like, half of them are gonna derp out in the back. Even though these units are ranged, they are relatively short range, so you gotta be careful that you don't have the Archons derping around. I think these, though, are gonna be used for a counterattack instead, but maybe they'll be caught. Stalkers are available. There's the aggressive blink forward. Observer gets sniped. Dark Templar blink forward as well. Zoning here by the Italian, and he's gonna be able to keep those units in the back separated from the rest of that Protoss force. I think that maybe one of them will be able to survive. No, 2 of them stay alive. Like 10 health remaining on that one in the back, but good control there, nonetheless, by Skillous, who's still upgrading his army, by the way. He expected that base in the middle to be taken. Okay, decides to recall, well, something. Recall into a recall, though. Oh, now that Archon is stuck. Archon is too thick, man. Doesn't fit in between those structures. Anyhow, Skillous decides to go for a move. Archons deal splash damage, especially against Zealots and Dark Templar. They're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage, but this is going to be a bit of a strange engagement. That is a lot of interceptors. Okay, I love the zoning right there with the Archons as well, trying to deal as much damage as possible. Nice movement right here by Skillous, getting rid of a ton of those Stalkers. That was really nicely done, actually. I kind of questioned the amount of Archons. Well, actually, I think he had like 13 at that time. Now he's only got 7, which seems a lot more realistic. Reynor once more losing a huge chunk. This time around, okay, he does blink into a good position and he snipes one of those carriers. Keep in mind that you need to target fire as well, right? With those Stalkers, because otherwise they're going to derp out and kill the little interceptor ships that Skillous is going to happily be able to rebuild. The interceptors do cost some money. They're 15 minerals each. Very cheap, though, for the amount of health that they have. Okay, here we go. Actually, oh my god, this is not the moment to go after that Nexus, dude! Skillous decided to right-click on the Nexus, probably paying attention to a couple of other things that are happening out on the map. Carriers just got sniped one at a time, and this is the moment, apparently, where Reynor decides to go in for another move forward. Constant aggression. Whew. These are obviously maxed out in upgrades right now. Other than the shields +3 right there. That's another carrier going down. Ay. Skill is a little bit careless with those units. It's mostly, though, like, this is very reminiscent of what Reynor does in his Zerg games as well. It's not so much that Skillous didn't want to micro that fight better. It's that there's about 7 blips of, like, little radar notifications on the mini-map of where action is going on, right? So he had fights going on over there. He had fight going on over there, I think. One at the 3rd base, too. And then if you look away for a little bit, your Zealots kind of just wander by themselves and they go after that Nexus. You think it's a decent move. You think the carriers are maybe in a better spot too. But Reynor is very fast. Yeah, look at this. So that's honestly the big difference. We normally don't see Protoss players with 457 APM. Like that is, what, how many buttons a second? Like 9 buttons a second for the, well, 27 minutes that this game has been going on average? That is honestly just a speed difference. It's not a win yet, though. There's still mining happening right here on the left side of the map. Skillous has now also secured the base in the center. How many carriers have gone down this game? 20 carriers. All right. That's a lot of carriers. Still, though, doesn't even come close to the amount of resources lost here. In blue, base in the center now also acquired here by Reynor. Okay. Still really liking the army in red over here, though. Yeah. Yeah, when you think about it, Stalkers are kind of like Hydras with Blink, right? With more health as well. You can also build them a little bit earlier. And with full upgrades, they're really quite strong. Don't really know exactly. Oh, once again, a couple units caught right here on the left side of the map. That's not supposed to happen. Skillous getting pulled apart here, man. Like, over the last couple of minutes, maybe it's also like a stamina issue where this game has been going on for near half an hour. He's starting to make some mistakes where he's losing some units here and there. Okay, now this might be a nice moment right here, though, for our player in red. Base in the center is going to go down, but he's catching the majority of those Stalkers. Okay, recall will be used. Recall circle, though, not big enough for all of those Stalkers to fit, so quite a few of them end up going down. Still, though, oh my god, another Immortal Rally. Come on. Okay. Still, though, that base in the center was destroyed, so it wasn't completely useless. I never realized, actually, the wireframes have different colors on the classical skins. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I had no idea. Huh. Anyhow. Skillous right now on his last leg. It's very hard to say how many resources the player in blue still has. Reynor, though, coming in with Zealots from all sides. Bidding this army back once again. At this point, apparently, he's brave enough as well to blink forward into that army in red. And I honestly think we're getting to the point where the Italian Zerg has got a little bit too big of a Protoss army, and eventually he obtains the victory.